And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, we are now officially 2 weeks from the end of election season. You have 2 weeks left to turn in your ballots for Prop 50 in this special election. And as of right now, out of 23 million ballots that were sent out to Californians, 2.5 million have come back, a return rate of 11%.
Well, one of them is mine.
One of them's not mine. I haven't done it yet.
Are you using it as a coaster?
Yes.
So someone at the county is going to get it in the mail, and they're going to say, okay, what's going on here? We got a circle of bourbon on Randy's ballot.
Well, that's why I can't fill it out yet. I'm waiting for it to dry.
Well, no strawberry daiquiris until you vote.
By the way, if you're curious, Imperial County is now up to 6% turnout.
Look at them vote.
Alameda County, 7% turnout.
I wonder which county is the most pathetic county in terms of turnout each cycle.
I mean, it's usually Imperial, and some counties report differently, so we don't actually have return data from like Alpine County or some of these counties that you may have never heard of. But from looking at it right now, Imperial's at a 6.9, Alameda's at a 7.1, Merced's at a 7.3. So those are probably, here we go, the weakest one so far, just barely edging out Imperial County, is San Bernardino. San Bernardino County, out of 1,200,000 ballots, has only sent back 84,000, 6.8% return rate.
Keep up the good work, San Bernardino.
Oh, wait, we got one that's going to beat them all. Stanislaus County, 12,000 ballots returned out of 300,000, 4.1% return rate.
All right. Well, the state of California is trying to push us out of single-family homes and push us into high-density housing. They want us to live in high-density housing because they believe that's better for the environment and it will cut down on the cost of housing. They're so eager to push us into high-density housing that they do not want developers to build things like parking, because why give us parking spaces? Then we would just buy cars and we would put more cars on the road. They don't want that to happen. They want us all to ride the bus, the trains, the subways. The problem is that we are built horizontally, not vertically. We are not Manhattan. There are certain areas that do have high density, places like San Francisco, but most of the state is not like that. Most of the state requires you to have a car if you're expected to be at your job on time and pick up your kids from school and run your errands, those sorts of things that you have to deal with in life. But in Sacramento, they don't care. They just want to push you onto public transit, and they constantly tell you how great public transit is, despite the fact that we all know it's not safe, it's not clean, and it's not reliable. And in the category of not being reliable, Randy, BART just made the news again.
Because for the fifth time this year, BART has had a massive outage where people could not get to their destination. And I'm going to assume once again, nobody at the board is going to get fired over this one. Let's find out what happened yesterday. Here's a report from ABC 7 in the Bay.
We're learning new information about what may have been behind this morning's BART shutdown on the Transbay Tube. It caused delays for hours and left plenty of passengers upset.
By the way, Transbay Tube, great name for a bar.
What kind of bar?
I think you know.
Brad Hamilton joins us live from the Embarcadero station. We know that it was a headache for riders this morning. What is it looking like now, Brad?
Devin, I am happy to report that it is a lot smoother sailing tonight than it was this morning. It was a mess here at Embarcadero Station earlier today. And as BART gets closer to figuring out what this latest delay was about, the riders we spoke with are really suffering from shutdown fatigue. delayed,
just getting here now,
and confused. That was the theme of the morning for thousands of BART riders like Cynthia.
You know, it's got to be tough for all of those companies that forced all the tech workers to go back in person and say, well, instead of working remotely in a nice neighborhood that's outside of the big bay cities, you're going to have to commute in again. And then you have to call the boss and say, sorry, I got to work remote today. The train's shut down again.
What do you do if you're supposed to be at work and you can't be at work on time because the BART is not operational? Let's say you're a pilot. United Airlines has a base at SFO. I would imagine a lot of pilots, a lot of flight attendants, a lot of people that work at the airport live in the Bay Area. And you're expected to be there to fly the plane from San Francisco to New York at a certain time. And you show up 2 hours late because the BART wasn't operational. You think United Airlines is going to give you a pass over that? You think the passengers are going to give you a pass over that? Everyone is going to be furious with you. You can't rely on that for an important job.
it's incredibly frustrating. Not only like physically because people are aggressive, but like it's an hour and 25 minutes. I have to find a restroom. It's.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Did people have to start establishing a corner on that train?
Clean up on aisle 7.
It's hard. It's hard on people.
A refrain that we heard over
It took me about 40 minutes longer, and I had to get off twice.
and over again.
And then that delayed me a good 30, 45 minutes. And I already have a pretty long commute.
I thought the whole point of the trains it's supposed to be faster than driving.
No, it sounds like the train wrecked all of their lives.
There's no limited service through the tube at this time.
BART riders from all over the Bay Area got a little extra dose of the Monday blues after a mechanical issue near the Transbay Tube shut down 2 of the system's 5 lines during the morning commute.
One of our trains was going through the Transbay Tube when the train operator heard a loud pop. The train was able to get out of.
Not the same kind of pop the Stockton mayor's house heard.
No, and thank God for that, unless they were getting shot at by the fish.
Train was able to get out of the tube, and what we did at that point is we sent an out-of-service train in to inspect the tube. When that train went in, that train operator reported seeing smoke.
BART spokesman Chris Filippi told us that the pop might have been related to a problem with one of the system's insulators. It's the part of the track that provides electrical insulation between the third rail and the ground. That meant for about 3 hours, trains were tracking through the Transbay Tube, meaning significant delays on the yellow, blue, and orange lines as riders were forced to transfer trains.
You could imagine trains are going in both.
You're going to have to go the complete other way around because the direct line is not happening.
And again, this is the same state that is home to Silicon Valley, and we cannot make public transit that is reliable.
We even, for some of these train lines, including that high-speed rail, we consulted with the Japanese who said, take your money back. We can't help you. You're insane. It's so funny because there are other countries where not only do their national trains work incredibly, but, you know, Tokyo is run on public transit, and those things are clean, and they're always on time, and they're dedicated to it. But California gonna California.
The entire time I was in Vienna, Austria, outside of going to the airport, I never used a cab. I never used an Uber. I used public transit because it was available, it was clean, it was easy, it was the fastest way to get to where I was going. That's how you get people on the trains. You don't guilt them into it or force them into it.
You could imagine trains are going in both directions. They only have one track. They have to make that 3.5-mile stretch, and we have to separate them safely. So that's where the bottleneck occurs.
For BART employees and riders alike, delays and shutdowns are nothing new. In late August, smoke filled a train in the Transbay Tube, forcing a shutdown for a Friday evening commute.
That wasn't that long ago.
No. And can you imagine spending your Friday night there?
That was followed by a system-wide shutdown on September 5th, caused by a computer equipment failure after a network upgrade.
Anytime they're upgrading the software, someone forgets to unplug it and plug it back in, and the whole system goes down.
BART board director Victor Flores says all of it needs fixing, including how delays are being communicated.
One of the things that we're considering is using our new screens to share that information so that when you do enter the station and you see those screens, you have it in real time.
That's the answer. We know our system's going to keep breaking down, so we're going to make sure that we have big screens that say, the BART's not working right now. Come back later.
And we're going to do everything we can to force you out of your car so you have to deal with this nightmare on a daily basis.
Recently, the state approved a $750 million loan for struggling Bay Area transit systems, including BART, a stopgap to help keep the systems afloat. But for riders like Cynthia, BART's financial struggles are the last thing she wanted to hear about this morning.
The closures, this equipment failures, I mean, something's going wrong with leadership. It's not always about money. It cannot be.
How are you going to have a confident ridership that's going to use your system when it can't get you from point A to B? You're only going to lose ridership because people will say, screw it, I'm taking a Waymo.
Well, and if it's not the equipment failing, it's the crackheads trying to take the copper wiring off the line, and that shuts it down.
That was what happened with the VTA. When they settled their strike, they couldn't turn the trains back on immediately because someone had stolen the copper wire.
Unreal.
By late morning, all of the lines were back open, delayed but working, a sentiment that Bay Area commuters could relate to. Where this story goes next might just be another pop away. But Cynthia is hoping that won't be for a while.
At this point, there's not very many options that we have here, but we're just going to struggle along, unfortunately.
Again, nothing official, but BART officials do believe that this was some sort of an insulator issue. There was a similar story in August that we reported on. BART blamed it on a blown insulator. There was smoke, and it caused a similar type of delay. But
that's not good if you have the exact same kind of problem happen twice within the span of 2 months.
Nope. It means you aren't maintaining your equipment.
Really, at the end of the day, the spokesperson that we spoke with said everyone is safe. The issue was handled, and hopefully that continues to be smooth sailing for the rest of the day and week.
There you go. There is the latest on yet another, the fifth this year, of a system-wide delay on the BART.
Let's go to Dan in Sonoma. Dan, hello.
John, good afternoon. Here in Sonoma and Marin County, we have something called the SMART train. It was built, 20 years ago. Now, Sonoma County has been upside down regarding finances to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. There's been people petitioning at the local, Safely, Lucky's, whatever, saying, sign this because it's going to be on the ballot to keep funding the thing. And I asked them, I said, look, if we vote this down, will the SMART train go away? In other words, it'll have to shut down because of lack of funding? They all said yes. So in other words, they built this thing. Nobody really rides it. It cost a fortune. And now they're asking taxpayers to keep funding a train that can't sustain itself.
Well, here's a question that I would like one of them to answer. If these trains are not going to be reliable and they're not going to be safe, and they expect us to get rid of our cars and to use these trains to get to work, what are they going to do for us if we lose our jobs because we aren't there on time?
John, how dare you ask a logical question? You're not going to get a logical answer from these people. I believe it's an electric train. They're thinking environmentalism, blah, 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 that's going to save us. So, we don't care if you lose your job. We don't care if you're paying more in taxes. We just want this, quote-unquote, environmentally friendly choo-choo to keep going.
I'm sure the answer would be, well, you lost your job for the greater good.
Yes, I think that's true. Well, I'm sorry. I'm self-employed, so I'm not going to lose my job.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Paul in San Francisco. Paul, hello.
Yes, I'm a retired Muni bus driver. For years, the city has not had an independent security force for the city, for the buses and the streetcars, and rules are seldom enforced. You could do virtually anything you want on there. You could bring dogs on without muzzles. You could intimidate people with your behavior. And it's a free-for-all on there, so people don't want to ride that, and they don't feel safe at bus stops because they're seldom patrolled. And you never see any police on Market Street where people might get on the bus.
Did you see it deteriorate over time where it was once safe and once okay and then just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until we got to where we are today?
Well, absolutely. Sorry for using that word. Yes, I did. Because what the muni did is it let people board through the rear doors, and that allowed everybody to get on, to do anything they want. When they boarded through the front doors, the operator could kind of control who got on and what they were doing. But now the muni doesn't want the drivers to say anything. So there's no rules, and it's chaos on there oftentimes.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Craig in San Jose. Craig, hello.
Hello, John. You asked earlier if you're a United pilot and BART goes down, how do you get to the airport on time? You buy a car.
That's the only way to reliably get from point A to point B.
You have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Robert in Santa Clara. Robert, hello.
Hey, guys. We were talking about a little bit earlier about, and it's what are the anarchist messages? Who do they come from ultimately? Just think of the people. Newsom, Harris, Prop 36 can't get anything done. This whole redistricting thing, it looks so hopeless here. If we don't get this passed, we're just going to be ruled by these out-of-touch tyrants. And they put the sewage in these kids' heads. How are you going to clean it up? And, you got to send them to a re-education environment reform school, but that's totalitarian. You can't win the struggle session if the media is going to immediately say, if we round up all these kids and try to reform them, and you can't do that because that's either fascist or dictatorial, communism, totalitarianism. We can't win with this stuff. And they started it all. Newsom and Harris and the other people you can think of, anarchistic messages, they're still doing it. That's why you have violence. That's why you have crime. The leadership is sick. They're demented people, and we're stuck with them. I can't take it anymore.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people are moving out of state, and California's population is in decline. And the next census will probably cause us to lose between 3 and 5 electoral votes and 3 and 5 seats in the House of Representatives. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do, if 3 hours of this show really isn't enough for you and you want even more, hey, who are we to judge? Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. You could do it on the Apple Podcast app. If you get an iPhone, that's that purple button. Just search for The John Phillips Show. You can do it on Spotify. You can do it on iHeartRadio. You can even do a Google on the YouTube.
Do a Google on YouTube.
Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. Download all the episodes. They're straight to your phone. You can also get one of our apps, the KABC app for Southern California, the KSFO app for Northern California. Get the KMJ Now app if you want to hear us for an hour on Saturdays at 2 in the Central Valley. So many different ways to listen live to all of our stations and download all of the podcasts. You can listen to these podcasts wherever you are, whether you're working out, whether you're driving on your commute, or you're shopping at Target for socks and you have to wait there because they have to unlock them.
How ghetto does it look that they have to lock up the socks?
I think yesterday there were not that many people listening to the podcast after we signed off because everyone was watching the Mariners take on the Blue Jays. And what an exciting ending that was, where the Blue Jays beat the Mariners in 7, and they're going to be the ones that go on and play the Dodgers in the World Series.
How did it feel as a lifelong Angel fan and someone who saw Shohei come up have the best game he's ever played for not the Angels?
I'd like to say I was surprised, but I wasn't. I'll just say this. Out of spite and bitterness, I'm just happy Seattle's not there. If the Angels can't do it, I don't want anyone from the AL West there. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Frank in Gilroy. Frank, hello.
Hey, John, thanks for taking my call there. I was a pilot for 40 years and most of it in the airlines. And public transit just doesn't work because you can imagine if I am 2 hours late and that airplane's going to a hub, that arrives at the hub 2 hours late, so all those people disconnect. The people waiting to get on that airplane are now going to be 2 hours late. The airplane goes out, somewhere else comes back, is 2 hours late. All those, so you end up affecting thousands of people. And as they say at the airline, the only reason for showing up 2 hours late is because of your death, and you better bring your death certificate in person.
Yeah, I would imagine that if you show up as the pilot 2 hours late because the trains went down due to a technical glitch or equipment that wasn't maintained, the airline just wouldn't want to hear it, and you would get written up and you would get disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd get disciplined, and it happens 2 or 3 times, you're out of a job.
I would imagine that's the case for a lot of companies in a lot of different industries. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Jake in Orange County. Jake, hello.
Hello, John. Thanks for taking my call. Question regarding the population of California. It's been dropping drastically. We've lost close to 3 million, and yet our congressional representation still holds steady at 53 representatives. Should be closer to 48 or 49.
Well, the next time they do the census, which will be at the end of the decade, that's when they will decide how many seats California loses. And right now, based on current projections, we're going to lose between 3 and 5. You're right that we've lost population all through this decade. And certainly COVID shook the snow globe and caused a lot of people to flee the state for other parts of the country. But also within California, I would imagine that the population also shifted, where you saw people leave Los Angeles, you saw people leave Oakland, you saw people leave San Francisco, and they moved to places like the inland parts of the state, places like Riverside County, San Bernardino County, the Central Valley. You probably saw a lot of people move to Orange County and other coastal counties that are not big population centers. So when you look at the makeup of the state legislature, Los Angeles and the Bay Area have an outsized influence in Sacramento than they otherwise would if we had current numbers available. It's going to be a real eye-opener for politicians in California in 2030 when we do the census over again and we redraw the lines, because the power is going to shift from where it is now to where all the people have moved to. Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Let's go to Robert in San Pedro. Robert, hello.
Gentlemen, I saw you guys out at the when you did that gig on Van Nuys, and John, you are one snappy dresser. Randy, I just kind of thought you were, I don't know, maybe a little bit shorter and about 150 pounds heavier. But
I used to be.
Anyway. All right. Now, my wife, let's just say her name is Eva, is in the City of Industry today, and she is counting votes. And what she tells me is they can go in there with absolutely nothing. They're under video surveillance, and the votes are coming in via helicopter. Now, I asked her, are you dressed while you're doing this? Because that sounds like a drug lab going on. And I think there could be human error with this counting, but just want to let you guys know how things are going out there, and don't forget about Jesus.
Well, maybe they could have Walter White count the ballots in a Winnebago.
Love it.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. All right. We know that the homeless start a lot of fires in Los Angeles. According to the fire chief, the homeless encampments start 50% of all the fires in Los Angeles, meaning we know where the fire threats are. There was a portion of the 10 freeway that melted when a homeless encampment started a fire that then got out of control and melted the freeway.
Although Gavin's still blaming that one on arson, but they never caught the arsonist.
And didn't they have everything on videotape too?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So now we have another problem encampment underneath the freeway. We know it's a fire risk, yet no one does anything about it.
Well, this is Los Angeles. For more, here is KTLA.
Now at 5:30, beds, a fan, even a TV, a set of
So I'm going to guess stolen power, too.
That would be my guess.
massive and elaborate homeless structures under the 10 freeway are going viral. Good evening.
We're getting to a point where the bums live better than the slums.
I think we've been there. They have a pickleball court in one of them, for heaven's sake.
Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Micah Ullman. The makeshift homes are built using highly flammable materials, including cardboard and plastic.
Neighboring business owners say they are concerned a destructive fire could break out inside, similar to the massive inferno under the 10 freeway.
Wasn't the whole point that we realized that we shouldn't have anything flammable under any freeway overpass because it could completely shut down everyone's lives? But here we are again.
If we were to bust up the encampments, though, that wouldn't be equitable because the homeless people are poor. And if we were to force them out from under the freeway, then we would be picking on poor people.
Just 2 years ago, Alina Abovian is live in downtown L.A. with details and reaction. Alina.
Hi, Mike and Cher. That's right. This homeless encampment essentially takes up the entire block, and the people living inside it, well, they say they have no choice and nowhere else to go.
Not true and not true.
Why can't the city just call them out on this? If the city has beds available for them and they choose not to go, you can't let them live underneath the freeway where they can melt it again.
It has water, has electricity for right now, but for the most part, we're homeless. We're looking for help. We're seeking aid.
Where'd you get the electricity?
Oh, that's right. They're stealing it.
I got to pay more on my DWP bill so this guy can watch NFL Sunday under the freeway.
While they wait for a spot at a shelter, this man says this is...
No, that's not what's going on here. There is plenty of shelter space available right now.
Why is it that everyone has to go along with that misnomer? Can't we just call it out? They choose to live there. They prefer to live there. The entire point of Mayor Karen Bass's first term was to offer motel rooms to people living in the encampments. That's what's costing us a fortune.
And we're only doing it to 10% of them.
While they wait for a spot at a shelter, this man says this is the next best thing. A makeshift shelter under the 10 freeway.
By the way, incredibly insulting to all of the hardworking people that do work in Los Angeles and commute from places like Hemet, where it is cheaper to live.
That's what you do. They're not there because of the cost of housing. They're not there because of the cost of living. They're there because of drugs and mental illness. And unless and until we're willing to acknowledge that, we're going to be living like this, where you never know if you're not going to make it to work on time because the freeway melts.
A makeshift shelter under the 10 freeway at 17th Street in downtown LA. Taking a peek inside, there's 2 beds, a TV, and furniture, all held together with tarps, wood, and rope.
This is like a really, really, really distorted version of Gilligan's Island.
So you think they power the radio with an exercise bike?
Well, that's how the professor operated his dental office. But you walk by one of these encampments, you know that no dental work is going on there.
We don't like these livings, but this is what we're dealt with.
Why not go to a shelter?
Well, shelters are full right now. People check in for the winter.
And
they're not full.
No, they're not.
They have some
and
of them have
what?
rules, but they're not full.
And that is the reason that they don't like to be there. because the shelters say no animals, the shelters say no drugs, the shelters say no fighting. You have to follow the rules, and none of them want to do that.
And to keep warm, they use a metal pot to start a small fire.
Oh, you don't say.
So we have a highly flammable encampment underneath one of the busiest freeways in the country, and we have fires going on too.
Every single day, every day, you will hear about homeless fires under our several freeways. We know what it can lead to. We know these are the most dangerous places to have these encampments, and city government and county government and even state government through Caltrans allows it.
We'll take and put some wood and some hand sanitizer and start a fire. Start a small fire to keep ourselves warm.
Wait, what do you do with the hand sanitizer?
Apparently, they use it to start a flame.
We'll take and put some wood and some hand sanitizer.
So that's your ignition device?
Great.
Apparently, if you douse wood with hand sanitizer, that's got to give out some kind of chemical reaction.
And it's going to result in a melted freeway.
We'll take and put some wood and some hand sanitizer and start a fire. Start a small fire to keep ourselves.
Is that how they teach you in the Scouts?
Okay, so the city knows about this. Caltrans knows about this. The CHP knows about this. Everyone now knows about this because it's on the news. And you watch, when this portion of the freeway melts, it's going to be a big surprise.
Keep ourselves warm. And it worked for the most part, but it can, if not contained, it can be out of control. These here, they catch fire so fast.
It happened in 2023, just 2 miles away from this encampment. The 10 freeway caught fire, halting the commute for nearly 300,000 drivers.
Don't you worry. At that point, Karen Bass said, you could take Metro.
That's right. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for you is riding on her murder trains.
Business owners nearby are afraid it's going to happen again.
It looks like a hotel. It looks like a hotel. The biggest.
So, Johnny, if that's the homeless hotel under the 10 freeway, what do you get with diamond status?
Well, if it's a DoubleTree, you get a cookie.
It looks like a hotel. The biggest thing now is, okay, so we don't want a fire like 2 years ago happens, because 2 days ago when it was raining, I don't know what they were doing inside. The only thing you can see the smoke coming out.
And that means trouble.
And next door, a more elaborate setup constructed mostly with these industrial-sized paper spools, also highly flammable.
Wasn't the whole takeaway from the 10 freeway melting incident, you should not have any flammable material under a freeway?
No, this is one of these things where Karen Bass is going to say, none of us could have seen this coming, and it makes no sense to play the blame game now. Let's just spend more money on the homeless.
There have been quite a few fire-related disasters that happened under Karen Bass's watch.
And she learns nothing.
Dubbed on social media as the mansion.
So we don't want fire. But I think your concern should be housing them and take them out of that misery. They don't want to be there.
Seems like they want to be there.
What else can we do? Have we voted down a tax increase for the homeless in recent years?
We actually voted to double it.
And then we elect these people like Karen Bass, who ran on the platform of spending more money, more time, more resources on the homeless. And these people act as if we do nothing for them.
City services do come by, they say, but this encampment is still here, and so are the people who need the help.
The support around us, they don't really want us here. So they harass us, they do their things to, make us go. And where are we going to? Somewhere else that they're going to do the same.
How dare they tell us that they don't want us here because they don't want their neighborhood to burn down?
It's our right to melt the freeway.
And so right now we're really asking the city and the people around us to have some kind of compassion for us because
I think we're done with that.
Yeah, we ran out a long time ago.
We've been, for a decade, it's been nothing but compassion for the homeless because that's how long we've had housing first in California. I think it's time to try something different.
You know what changed public opinion on immigration? was when the border community started taking all the illegals and putting them on buses and taking them to northern cities. If you don't want that freeway to melt, maybe what we should do is put all of these people in the encampment on buses and take them to Karen Bass's house.
To have some kind of like compassion for us, because not all of us out here are drug heads. Not all of us out here are, abusers of anything. You know what I mean? We're just down on our luck.
So what's stopping you from getting a job?
You're just down on your luck? How dumb do you think we are? You're sitting there snorting packets of Equal?
And this is the response from the mayor's office.
Here we go.
Conditions like these are not safe. The city.
So why haven't you done anything about it?
If only she knew someone with a little power.
Conditions like these are not safe. The city will respond. Since Mayor Bass took office, we have addressed more than 100 encampments all over the city. Many of them had created dangerous environments for the surrounding community and for people living inside the tents and structures. We will continue moving with urgency.
Doesn't sound very urgent. Aren't we in a state of emergency over this nonsense?
Well, this is what they do. It's also Orwellian. You say you're in an emergency and you're moving fast, so it doesn't matter if you do or you don't. You just have to say it and have people on the news repeat it.
Now back out here, we also reached out to Caltrans to get their take on this. However, we have not yet heard back. I'm Lena Bovin in downtown LA, KTLA 5 News.
So if you happen to commute on the 10 in East LA, well, it's only a matter of time before it all happens again.
I would have a plan B ready to go on how to work from home when the freeway gets melted again. If you'd like to call in, you can do so at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Sean writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com with a great suggestion. Did I just tell you the email address wrong?
Did I?
I said it wrong.
Oh.
I said johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Let's start over again. Sean writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com with a great idea. Hey, guys, how goes it? Ever since you guys came on here in the Bay Area a year or so ago now, I've been thinking you guys should do a remote from Everett and Jones Barbecue. Make a great location. Just do it on a Friday or Saturday with plenty of music. The place has been around for over 50 years. It is on the top of the top 35 barbecue places in the USA. Sure, there's a lot of problems in Oakland, but you can help highlight them with your sense of humor. The show is great, by the way. I was blown away when it first popped up like, WTF is this? Who are these cats? Spilling the beans of truth no one wants to chat about. Total Joe Friday. Give me a double, bartender. I think that's a great idea if we can get security.
Yeah, well, thankfully, neither one of us wear jewelry.
But you and I both love barbecue. We want this place to, this is a story to highlight. You have one of the most storied restaurants in all of Oakland being burglarized 5 times in 2.5 years. Something needs to be done.
Well, you have to protect these businesses because these businesses make up the character of the neighborhood. And if you allow these businesses to go under, and again, it's one thing if the business goes under because people stop going there. If people stop going there because tastes have changed, attitudes change, whatever, you can't do anything about that. There's nothing the government could have done to keep Blockbuster in business because people moved on from renting VHS tapes. But if out-of-control crime is taking a successful business and it's resulting in that business not being able to make money or not being able to buy insurance or whatever, that's a failure of the government. And the government needs to get with the program. Because if these businesses go under, you're going to be left with nothing but Applebee's. And as someone who spent a month on jury duty last year where the only option for lunch was Applebee's, you don't want that. Trust me. All right, that's going to do it for us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of The John Phillips Show.